Hello and welcome to another show of Faces of the Main Line. Today our guest is Ethan New, N-I-U, pronounced N-E-W. He is a senior at Harrington High School, Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, in Lower Merion Township. He's written a book titled Brave Little Fighters. The book tells about cancer cells and his experiences with it, and he'll get into that. Hello, I'm John Ricciutti, and welcome to the show. Ethan, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much
as a senior, senior in high school. I guess the first question I want to ask you is, what prompted you to write Brave Little Fighters?
So in 2019, my mom was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in her breast, and that experience, like my family, was very confused and lost on how to deal with this. And we also had to make a lot of changes in our family. And that was really difficult for us because we never had to do anything like this before. And fortunately, she recovered and was able to go into remission. However, in 2021, her cancer relapsed into her brain. And this was in her central nervous system. And we went to the University of Pennsylvania to get help, and the doctors recommended Teddy-R, which is a new innovative treatment. And I think it's pretty interesting how we found out, because usually my mom has a great memory. However, we went to the grocery store to go buy a chicken one day, and she couldn't remember what part of the chicken she wanted, and I thought this was really confusing. So the doctors called with her MRI results, and we found that there was a golf ball-sized mass in her brain. So fortunately, they were able to take that out, and she was able to go into remission again. However, I saw many children in the hospital whose parents had to go through chemotherapy, and from my own experience, seeing my mom come home sick and being weak, this inspired me to write this book to teach children that cancer is not their fault and that they can actually help their loved ones go through this.
I can't add and subtract the numbers. So how old were you when your mom was first diagnosed?
I was around 13 years old during that time.
So you're obviously a very astute young man. I can tell just by your description. You have a very close relationship with your mother. How is your mother now?
She's doing really well right now. She's made full remission, and she's pretty much back to normal, pretty much.
When you said some things earlier about when you first were, your family was first told, that was yourself and your sister. You have a sister named Chloe?
Yeah, I do. And
she's here today with us. And do you have any other brothers or sisters?
No, just her.
Just yourself. So, and your father?
Yeah, and my father.
How did all this, your family just became, there was total shock?
Yeah, we never expected anything like this would happen to us, as anyone would. And we pretty much just delved into many research articles that was ways to cope and find new treatments and give us inspiration.
Was your mom diagnosed the first time in a mammogram?
We actually felt a lump in her breast, and that's how we found out. But yeah, we also had the mammogram, and that
she felt the lump in her breast.
Yeah.
Right. So did you became involved with doctors yourself in this whole process?
Yeah, I decided to reach out to doctors, for example, oncologists at the University of Pennsylvania.
They were very open about providing their support for you in this?
Yeah, they were very supportive during this whole...
Did you or your sister or your dad go into a support group?
Not really. I think it was more of just me that I did my own thing and then shared the information with them as well.
What you said, the doctors at the University of Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
So you reached out to them. Were there any others that you reached out to?
I also reached out to specialists at the Rogel Cancer Center at the University of Michigan to also reach out to for support as well.
How did you contact doctors at Penn and University of Michigan? You just emailed them?
Yeah, so pretty much I just emailed multiple hospitals and different specialists, and these were the doctors who responded. And my mom also went to the University of Pennsylvania to receive treatment, and so that's how we reached out to oncologists there as well.
And what was your approach?
I just wanted to email them and ask for support, and also wanted to share my book idea with them. And over emailing, I was able to send them drafts and receive edits and feedback to help improve my book.
Does your mom work?
Currently, she does not.
At the time?
No, at the time she didn't either, but this really made her want to not work too hard anymore.
So when you wrote the book, Brave Little Fighters, I'm going to assume that you not only were talking about the cells being the fighters, but you as a younger person were a little fighter in this. Did you see other children or talk to other children who you thought were experiencing what you were thinking?
Definitely. At the hospital, I could see small children with their family members waiting for their parents, for example, to finish their trials. And that reminded me of myself waiting for my mom to come home, and just seeing her sick, and that made me want to write this book to inspire them.
What caused you to say it's not your fault?
So some kids and myself believe that cancer can be your fault and that it's like a sickness that you can give to someone. However, that's completely not true. And I want to emphasize that because I don't want children to think that they're the cause of their parents' cancer and feel emotionally bad about themselves.
So you thought it was your fault? Or you thought it was Chloe's fault or somebody's fault? Is that what you thought?
Yeah, so pretty much I thought that cancer can be caused by doing something wrong, and then...
Well, as you said, I think you had an F circle that you're drawing. So your mom's experience and yours and Chloe's was the inspiration entirely for wanting to reach out to help other people. Because yes, it has a children's aspect to it, but it also has an adult aspect that I saw. Who did the artwork and the editing?
I self-published and self-illustrated this whole book, and I pretty much worked on this myself throughout the whole process with the help of the specialists and doctors as well. Did
you have any scientific background prior to your mom's experience?
I did not have that much scientific background. However, after this experience, I worked at the Wistar Institute on Penn's campus, and there I did research on cancer cells and the chemotherapies. And I also tested the COVID vaccine and the spike protein. So that solidified my interest in scientific research after my mom's treatment.
So your mom was an inspiration for the direction you may have wanted to go to in life.
Yeah, she solidified my interest for medical research. So,
how did your dad handle this?
He was very strong throughout this whole process, but initially it was a shock to all of us. However, in the end, he was the most supportive for my mom. He always drove her to the hospital. And he also supported me when I was writing this book.
Did you have a lot of dark thoughts?
No, I stayed mostly positive because I knew this was the only way that I was going to support my mom through this and help her have the positive mindset to fight cancer.
How did you remain positive? What would you tell someone who was having the same experiences that you experienced? How would you tell them to stay positive?
I know it might not be easy. However, cancer is always fightable, and there are currently many treatments that are coming out.
Where have you gone with the book? Have you have you cataloged it?
Yeah, it is currently at the Gladwin Library, and it is also included in the Rogel Cancer Center's resource letter. And I'm currently doing a campaign where I'm giving away 100 books to schools and hospitals and to pretty much anyone who would find this book beneficial to them. And I want this book to be a source of inspiration and hope for those who need it.
I'll go back to the campaign, but which I think is terrific. I wanted to ask you about the artwork and the editing. How did your artwork isn't really scientific looking. It's something that to me is grassroots, something. How did you come about doing it that way instead of having real photographs of cells?
So I wanted to make a children's book. So the editing I did was on Procreate, which is a drawing software. And the editing, I received feedback from the specialists and oncologists. So I was able to revise and edit on Procreate.
What grade level do you think someone would start to read this at?
I think third grade to like sixth grade would be able to read that. But I also think younger grades will be able to read it with a family member who could help guide them along through the book.
So, and I found it very worthwhile. So I wouldn't limit it to that.
Yeah.
Because I would think that the thing that I found most intriguing, honestly, and I said it earlier and I'll go back at it, was it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And I think that occurs with a lot of people. Tell us about the campaign to donate the books. How are you going about doing that?
Yeah, so I'm currently reaching out to multiple hospitals and different organizations to help promote my book. And like I said, I'm giving away 100 books to those who need it, like schools and hospitals. And I think that this will be very beneficial for people who need the support and hope to read it as well.
Is there anything you would have added to the book? When you go back, I'm always fascinated with editing because there's things you probably took out that you may have wanted to keep in there. Is there anything you wanted to keep in?
I don't think there was anything I wanted to keep in, but I did include some more complex stuff. However, the oncologists and specialists told me that it might be too complicated for children to understand. So that's why I removed it. What
do you think is most beneficial? Do you think it entirely, or are there parts that you think that a young person should focus on?
Well, I think overall the book is helpful as a whole. However, I think the pages where I discuss that how to support their loved ones during this time are the most beneficial because that's the way they can currently physically act to help support their family members during this time.
Your relationship with your sister before the cancer or your relationship with sister after? Got better?
Helped reach out to a lot of people, and we pretty much helped create a positive environment within our family.
You mentioned earlier, you mentioned things that I'm not even familiar with, that there were newer and better treatments for cancer than in your book you referenced the chemotherapy and how cancer can metastasize through one system, and you mentioned surgery, but there are other procedures that are being advanced? Yeah,
currently there are like CAR T cells, which uses your immune cells to kill the cancer cells as well. And there are also many others that are getting more advanced with fewer side effects.
When you talk about marketing, do you think that we don't make one aware of all the treatments that are available for cancer, or?
I think it's more accessibility because my family, we were fortunate to be able to have access to Teddy R. However, not all families will be able to have access to this treatment. And I think not having access to this treatment would lead to like them not knowing that there's a better treatment for them.
You mean it's not covered by insurance?
Or like some hospitals might not know this treatment.
Was your mom's a physician initially at Penn, that's why she went there? Or was it a matter of research?
Yeah, he was initially at Penn, so that's why we went there to ask for a second opinion as well.
I don't want to hurt your chances. I want to ask you, you didn't tell me what colleges you would apply to.
Yeah, so I applied to multiple different colleges, like the University of Pennsylvania, as well as like Johns Hopkins as well. But overall, as a whole, I think all of these universities have great medical programs and will allow me to study biology to the fullest extent.
When did you get interested in biology when your mom was diagnosed, or were you always interested in biology?
I was always interested in science as a whole. Like as a child, I was always interested in doing experiments from my experiment book. However, I think my mom's cancer made me focus on biology most.
Have you spoken in front of groups? Do you think about doing that?
I haven't yet, but I definitely do want to speak in front of groups because I think the community of everyone coming together can help create an environment where we all support each other as well.
The other question I'd like to know is, did your students and faculty know about your circumstances?
Yeah, they definitely do. I think I have to tell them, like, publicize my book and help them, have them help me share the information about my book.
You mentioned that someone worked through your website, and then we'll put your website or your email address where one could 100 people can get the book.
Yeah.
But is it available in other places like Amazon or?
Yeah, it is also available on Amazon as well.
Are you donating any of the money to any causes, or is it just for publishing costs?
Yeah, I definitely do want to donate the money to other like specialists and cancer programs as well.
Oh, okay. Is there anything that I haven't covered today?
I do want to talk about how I reached out to my 4th grade teacher who was diagnosed with cancer, and I decided to give my book to her and her family because she has 3 children as well. And when I gave her my book, she said that the book had a pretty big impact on her family because of the changes they had to make, and her kids still weren't that like aware of these changes. So my book helped them understand that these changes are inevitable, but they are part of this journey.
So you dedicated, or you gave a copy to your 4th grade teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. We missed anything?
I don't.
Anything you'd like to say? Give a shout out to Chloe or anything, or
Yeah,
thank her for her support?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my sister who helped me go through this whole editing and publishing process as well. And yeah.
And what's your mom's support?
Oh yeah, definitely my mom's support as well.
With Ethan New, this is John Ricciutti. I hope you found the story informational, informative, and somewhat educational. I recommend the book for anyone who is experiencing cancer, and very helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
On.